Whitchell.
Now, the Irish language hip-hop group Kneecap have made a name with their music, their movie and a fair amount of controversy. And on the other side of the peace wall that separates the Falls and Shankill and West Belfast is another artist starting to build a name for himself. Young Spencer could be seen as the polar opposite to Kneecap. While they wrap themselves in the Irish tricolour, he raps about the Union flag. One of his sons, Son of Ulster, has him state he's red, white and blue until the day he dies. Yet recently, he supported Kneecap on stage at the SSE Arena in Belfast, invited by the group themselves. And he says there's a lot more that unites them than divides them. I've been speaking to young Spencer, who calls himself proudly British, Irish and Northern Irish, and asked him how he started making songs like Straight Out of Belfast.
Straight out of Belfast and I'm bringing the boys. I got Luke on a beat and we're bringing the noise in the north, west, south and east.
Truthfully, it started from therapy, Chris, if I'm truthfully honest with you, mate. I just, like, young kid getting into teenage years and just very lost what was going on at home and school. I didn't overly, it's not that I didn't overly fit in. I'm not going to make myself sound like an outcast, but I could go from crowd to crowd, or I could walk through school and not speak to anybody, do you know what I mean? And I became very introverted, but music was always at the forefront. Hip-hop, rap and just multi-genres really, like even growing up in the house and listening to, do you know what I mean, being influenced by country music, gospel music. Like, I love Charlie Lansbury from a young age, do you know what I mean? And yeah, just
I'm so tempted to play a bit of your music and then Charlie Lansbury.
Yo, please
and
do
see,
it, man, mate.
and see the difference.
Spence fella, straight out of Belfast.
Shine your light against the
People will be thinking to themselves, a Charlie Lansbury fan, really?
yeah, well, I mean, that comes from a father as well, but freedom of expression, do you know what I mean? But definitely, look, if I could request one, I'd say Shine Your Light.
and shine your light for me.
There might be people listening to this and thinking to themselves, really introverted?
Yeah.
Because everything they see about you is you on stage, you with big crowds.
As time goes on, you have to accept that you are playing two characters. You have to know when to be Gareth and you have to know when to be young Spencer. Sometimes, look, I look at young Spencer myself and I go, yo, he's mad. I mean, I can't be him all day. Like, I need to know when to be able to sort of just be at one with myself. It's like when I go out on stage, something like that, Kneecap show, which I was very blessed to do, 9,500 people. I can't just go out there and just be Gareth, you know what I mean? There's a certain standard that's demanded, and I also demand a certain standard of myself. This is greatness, do you know what I mean? This is what we talk about, but that's humbly said.
I'm the right curator that I love. I know you're shy love, but you're my love. And I'm the right curator that I love.
You're really proud about where you come from, okay?
100%.
Talk about the Shankill, and you're very proud of it. I was looking through some of the stuff that you've written, though, and it's quite interesting what you've said about the Shankill estate, because you say it's true there ain't no place like home. It's a gift, but it's a curse being from the road.
Yeah.
Like so many areas, we're born into poverty, surrounded by guns, drugs, paramilitaries, religion, division, hatred, living in rundown communities without opportunity. And those are kind of things that are real for people out there.
Yeah.
Is it brave to say that, coming from that area? Does it feel brave to say that?
I mean, look, there's a lot of people that feel like they aren't worth the life that they have or the life that they are gifted. And you sort of hope that in what you're doing, you can help them and understand, yeah, but you're you. And you've been born with your purpose. And it took me years and years of my life to get that. Because for years it was just predominantly negative. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want life. I wished life away because of how I was feeling, because of past traumas. But I always knew in my heart, if I was gifted more life in later life, could I live with myself knowing that I didn't live my dream, that I didn't give everything that was within me.
When you talk about past traumas, what do you mean? Are you prepared
Family
to talk about
stuff, coming from the areas you come from, dealing with what you deal with, do you know what I mean? A lot of people have this sort of like warped opinion of the communities that we're from too, whether it be the Shankill, the Falls, anywhere in Belfast, because they go back to like this troublesome period from 30 years ago and they stay stuck in that. But you'll find unification in so many ways, in so many different forms now in the city, more than you ever have. We're a lot closer to peace now than we've ever been. This is a reflection of it. Every day is a reflection of it. I work in a school, proudly say that, work in a boys' model. So I see the demographics from all different ages, and I feel consciously it's so important to know who is listening to you and who is tuning in.
I woke up in July, surrounded by red, white and blue on every wall up in the sky. Ulster flag, Union Jack, you're an Ulster now, the Union's back. God's people on God's land, we're all equal. Hand in hand, heart and soul we stand. I'm red, white and blue till the day I die. Ulster flag, Union Jack, throw it up in the sky. You're an Ulster now, the Union's back, every day is July.
If there are divisions nowhere is it more being divided in the past, in those decades that you talk about, than the Falls and Shankill, okay? Yet, that moment, whenever you perform with Kneecap, and we by this
For real.
stage, everybody knows Kneecap, everybody knows the controversy.
And
that
rightfully
surrounds
so,
Kneecap.
too.
Well, the point is, though, they are very political, and they have a very, Irish unification message, and you, in your music, have a very I am proud of the union message.
Yeah.
And then to have you standing up on stage to their audience. What was that moment like?
Surreal, but so real. Fair play to the lads. When they reached out to me, of course, there's nerves come with it, and there's just as much reason to say no as there is yes. And people would go, well, why is that? It's the biggest opportunity of your life. Because, yes, you're still driven with fear as much as you're driven with love, and you're still worried that people aren't receptive where you're from. And when you're talking about greatness and moving the city forward and the country forward as a whole, maybe some people won't understand Kneecap and Young Spencer on the same stage until 20, 30 years' time. But that's okay, because when it's supposed to be understood, it'll be understood.
On God's land where the P.R.O.D stand, that's us now.
When we use certain terms and we talk how only we can talk from these working class communities, when we go anywhere outside of home, we relate to each other more than ever.
Do you worry, though, that you and Kneecap, by concentrating on that issue of worrying about, whether you're British or Irish, that it can cause division?
Red, white, blue.
I mean, look, to a certain extent, are we going to be shy about admitting that there will always be division? No, there will always be division of some extent. We will never get away from that completely, because that's life. And not everybody likes each other, and that's just plain and simple. But everybody has the right to be identified as who they identify as. And my thing is, me being a proud Protestant and being from Belfast, being from the Shankill, doesn't take away from them being proud Catholics and being from West Belfast and being from the Falls Road. And why can't we unite? At the end of the day, to me, that was more so about the unification of the city. Yes, you're from the Falls and I'm from the Shankill, but it's more so about this city that we come from.
Right, that's our song for. Let's go, come on.
Because there's a lot of people too, Chris, that were waiting on the laughter coming. Oh, that's him.
The crowd to turn, potentially.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? When I'm outside the building every night, you know what I mean, mate? Do you know what I mean? There's security and everything's in the building looking out at me like, what is he back down here again? Do you know what I mean? But when you step on that stage, there's 9,500 waiting on you and they're screaming back P.R.O.D, and it's a predominantly Catholic crowd, people would go, but how does that happen? Because it's a unification, it's for the love of music and art.
You mentioned P.R.O.D, okay?
Yeah.
That's what you talk about you being. But P.R.O.D, that stands for something.
Passion, persistence, respect, resilience, the opportunity to overcome, dedication, determination, you'll get the job done. Now, if people want to look into the colours and all that, you can fairly do that, right? But it's something that I created because it's a core set of principles that got me to where I am. You can look into the colours and identify my background and pick here and there and do whatever you want, but that's the core set of principles that got me where I am here today and helped me keep living my dream.
I wish that there was no hell. Different, but it fits so well. Eyes open and wide, so tell me now.
I should say that there's not necessarily all tracks we can play on this programme, given the time of day, because there are some colourful language in there. But what are you proudest of in terms of the music that you've created so far?
Listen, I'm inspired by so many people with TBU, with Assist, Baggy McNeese, produced by my cousin, Knowledge and Eulogy. That's something that we've had for the last year, very proud of. We performed Limelight last week.
Thinking about you, I can't take it. Sleep without you. Don't wake me up.
Don't wake me up. Me and You Da, it's about giving my father his flowers and all the flowers, because I grew up a lot of my life single parent, just me and my dad in the home. Me and You Da, 25 years in, if you knew my dad, you'd say, oh, you're him. Best mates. My dad's my heart and soul. You deserve all the praise, Dad. You have a heart of gold.
You are, though, as I mentioned earlier on, addressing what are, in some ways, Northern Ireland taboo subjects, okay? The idea of drugs, the idea of paramilitaries. And that's a brave enough thing to do, given where you live and where you come from. And this week, there's been a big conversation about the idea of how you try to get those kind of groups to go away. Do you feel that places like the Shankill have been held back by the fact that those groups still exist in those areas? Do you feel that the place could be a better place if that was to happen? And is it easy for them to make that happen?
Well, no, I feel like, and that's why, do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, look, me giving my opinion on it isn't going to change the foundations upon which it is built. Do you know what I mean? We come from a very unique place. To me, it's the most unique place in the world. I'm just going to say it, and I'll leave it at that. But a lot of times these conversations become about how can we get rid of certain people? But what about how can we bring people together? We are reporters in a sense, like yourself, do you know what I mean? And we have a responsibility to speak on these issues and to be a voice for the voiceless, and we will always be a voice for the city. Real change is happening, and I feel like that's what that show represented more than anything.
On God's land, where the P.R.O.D stand, that's us now.
The dreams aren't over.
Not a chance, never.
And you are currently in the studio making music now.
Yeah, this is another dream come true.
So what is the ultimate aim?
Inspired to inspire, motivated to motivate, persistent with my passion when they chose to hate, respect is earned through resilience, living where I was raised, opportunity comes, overcome and make your name, determined and dedicated to making a change, and that's P.R.O.D.
And that is young Spencer, the alter ego of Gareth Spence. Really interesting talking to him. And interestingly, even in studio, Mark Simpson quite enjoyed one of those tracks at TBU, the one with Becky McNeice. He was, oh, what's that? That's quite good. You never know, you might make it onto the Mark Simpson playlist. Listen, have yourself a really good weekend. We will see you back here on Monday at 6:30